Okay, the next exercise, exercise 3 for module 2, we are going to add the logon fail event. And similar with the previous exercise, display user and grade informations if they log on successfully. Otherwise, okay, we need to do something if they fail the login. Now, the first thing that you need to do is let's check. Let's add the public event handler first. Okay, so go to task 1A. Now just create public event handler called logon fail. Okay, previously we already did logon success, and now we create event handler logon fail. So we declare it here under the namespace. Once it's completed, go to the 1B. Okay, so right now we are in the logon page C# coding. The second one, we are going to go back to the main window. Okay, we are going to still in the logon page. Now under the logon click, we are going to validate the user and the password against the user collections in the main window, all the user ID and password in the main window. So all the data are in the database. So we create a teacher variable and check whether it matches the username and the password, whether it matches as well. And we check the username if it is not teacher. Okay, so it's actually the same. It's just that the object that we are checking is student. Okay, that's it. There's a small mistake here. Just let me fix this. Okay, this is correct. String compare teacher username. Variable teacher where string compare teacher username text. Yep. Now let's go to let's add the next one, handle the logon failure. So we are going to create a logon fail method. Okay, it's just a simple logon fail method. Okay, if we take the events argument and the whoever actually trying to log in, and then show the error message invalid username or password. So once it's done, let's take a look on the XAML file. Now the 2B is supposed to be in the XAML file, so somehow the to-do list task forgot to put in that, so you have to carefully find it. 2B. This one. Okay, so connect to the logon fail event if the logon page view the logon fail method in the main window. So if somebody log on unsuccessfully or fail, okay, we are going to call the logon fail method. Now, so under the logon page here, we are going to modify it a little bit. So login success is correct, it's okay. Now we want to check for the login fail. Okay, if the login fail, we are going to call the logon fail method. So that's done. Okay, so now this is already linked to the main window. Now the next step is the 2C. We are going to display the student name in the banner at the top of the page. Okay, so once they log on successfully, it will display the student name at the top of the page. Okay, so we are going to call using the string format welcome, first variable, second variable. Okay, so first variable consists of the student name for the session's current context, current student. The second part of the variable here consists of student last name. Okay, so welcome, first name, space, last name. Now the next one, 2D, we are going to do the same if he or she log in as a teacher. So the syntax are almost exactly the same. It's just that instead of current student, it is current teacher. Okay, that's it. So it will be welcome, first name, last name as well. Now let's take a look on the student page design. So student page. So the student page will consist of a number of students there. Depending on which teacher that currently logging in. So under the XML editor, find items control. There you go. Okay. So this is how the information is being displayed. And listing the whole student. Okay, so each of the student will be given this square to be displayed. It just display the name, as you can see here. Okay, this is the class. Yeah. Now so we have seen the design of the student page. Now the next one, let's take a look on the next task. We are going to display the students for the current teacher. So depends on what is the teacher's name. In the student page, it will list out all the students' name that is attending that teacher's class. Okay. Okay. Now the refresh method by itself is usually sufficient. So refresh method is just refresh wherever your current sessions is. So it will invalidate your current sessions and refresh the informations. So if you want additional tasks to be done in this method, just declare this method and then put in the informations in the public void refresh. So for example, yeah, you create an array list of student, and this student will store all the informations from the data source from the student table if the teacher ID match with the teacher ID in the current sessions. So if I'm logging in as teacher Ellie, for example, and my ID is 001, we check against the data source, okay, for the student, and each of the student have the attribute, have the column for teacher ID, and it will be checked against my teacher ID. If it is matched, it will be added into the array list of student. Okay. After it's added in the array list, now everything is easy. You can just display the item in the array. Okay. So all you need to do, declare the list dot item source. Okay. So it means you are creating a list. Okay. And then you want to add the informations in the item source. Okay, so the list have all the item source. All the students will be copied into this list. After that, you can use this list and display. So you can display the class name as well. Okay, so the text class is retrieving the current context of the current teacher. It retrieves the class that is taught by the teacher, okay, based on the data in the data source. So this one's done. The next one, if the user clicks on a student, display the details for that student. Okay, so this is the one from the previous exercise. So previous exercise, we have seen what will happen if we click the student. Okay, it will display the details of the student. So if student is being clicked, first you find out which student was clicked. Okay, so create an integer variable called, let's say, student ID. Okay, and check the tag on the item that is being clicked. If the student selected is not null, it means there is when you click, it's actually clicking on the area for the student, the tagging part of the student. Then find the details of the student by examining the data context of the button. Okay, so you declare a variable as equal student based on the structure student. Okay, so based on the data context of those student. After that, raise the student selected event handled by the main window to display the details for this student. Okay, so it will display the details of the student by opening up another window for the student profile. So if it is being clicked, you're supposed to open the student profile. Now the next one. Set the current student in a global context to the student specified in the student event argument. So when the event occur, which is the event click, okay. So all the event, all the child of the event, okay, it will be stored in the sessions contact current student. So sessions contacts current student is whatever that is being passed into this event. The next one, it displays the details for the current student, okay, when and it refresh. So go to this just below this refresh and then bind the student to display the details of the student in the text block in this panel. Okay, and if it is the user role is student, the button back will be invisible. If it is not student, the back button will be visible. So it means if it is teacher, teacher can always go back to student page. Under the view, let's take a look on the student profile. Okay, student profile is where the information about the student will be displayed. Before that, in the SAML editor, you need to bind the first name to the first name property. So to first name text block from your previous sessions to the first name property of the data context for this particular control. Okay. So find the text block first. Okay. So if the text block first name, text block will display first name. Okay. We are going to add the binding. So it's just behind this. Okay, we are going to do for the first name first. Text binding. The first name. Text block, next name. Yep, we bind the first name. And the next one's the same. So you do the same thing. It's just last name. Okay, it's almost there. Now let's take a look on the last part. Now we are going to create the list of the grades for that particular student profile and display it in the student profile page. So you need the array list to store it. So you create the array list called grades, let's say, and for each of the grade from the data source, if the student ID equal to the current context of the student ID, add the grades into the list, into your array list. And the last part, of course, you need to display the item. Okay, so student grade dot item source. Yeah. So this one is you create the array list called grades. Okay, and then put this value from the array list back into the item source from the student grade. Now that's it. Let's build and test it. If else for each if. Okay, so we have checked the student name, first name and last name. We have checked this one, and we are checking the last task, which is create the list in the grades for the student and display it on this page. Okay. So for that, we have to go to view the code. Yeah. So this is where we did the previous hidden the back button, and also create the array list for each grade from the data source. Okay, all those informations store into the array list, and then from array list it's stored back into the item source. So this one is to display the student grades, which is a list. Okay, and then display from the array list grades.